Welcome, everybody. We are having here participants joining, and thank you also for waiting us 5 minutes until we were ready to present. I welcome you all to our webinar series from the Action Group, Green, Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance. My name is Natalia Real Pecarrillo. I'm head of the Action Group together with Davide Forcella, who will be your host today of the webinar that today we will have with Philippe Guichendou from Foundation Grameen Credit Agricole, and he will present us the results of a study that Foundation has conducted. And also we will find out how microfinance institutions play a role in fighting against climate change, whether they feel that they have a role or not, and what are their responsibilities, and how the Green Index results has performed. And here we have now Davide, who will introduce us the activities from the action group. Then we will have Philippe that will present the results of the study. And afterwards, we will have 20 to 30 minutes time of discussion with your questions that you can post right in the chat while he's presenting, or after the presentation is over, we will open the microphones to you. So now the virtual floor is yours. Thanks, Philippe, and Davide, you can continue.
Thanks a lot, and sorry for the delay due to me, basically. So I'm sorry for the audience. Yeah. So I finally discovered various things on technology, and I would like to introduce you the action group here. So what is the action group about? Someone that maybe does not know the action group, is an action group is hosted by the European Microfinance Platform that every one of you knows. The action group name is Green, Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance. As by name, you will clearly understand that we are focused on promoting, the greening of inclusive finance as well as adaptation to climate change, and using smart way to do that, including technology. Yeah, we have quite some history. It has been founded in Berlin, where actually both Natalia and myself are now. So that's a nice coincidence. In 2013, so basically 7 years ago. Voilà. And we believe that is a unique, multi-stakeholder think tank. So the group is pretty diversified and large. So include more than 40 institutions, and now more than 50 with more than 60 members included. The idea is that that's include both investors, academics, include consultants, include IT technology, international institutions, networks, microfinance institutions. And our aim is to expand that more and more in 2021. The one that has been followed as so far has seen, quite an important increasing of activities. Natalia and myself are coordinating the groups. Our achievements so far, as you see, we have been developing what maybe someone you knows or use is the Green Index that has been developed within the action group. The first version was in 2014. Then has been quite an extensive review also together in collaboration with Cerise, with the mixed market, and with all the people that were part back in time to the action group and institution, among which, of course, the Grameen Credit Agricole had always played an important role. There, we review with more than 100 MFIs as well their use, to reach to an acceptance tool that was promoted as the Green Index 2.0, that basically is the standard so far to assess the environmental performance of a microfinance institution. Right now, in this moment, we are working to upgrade it together with Universal DSPTF, to make it a universal standard dimension 7 for social performance. I will tell you a couple of things. Of course, we have produced some catalog also to support the institution to have, understand how to design and how to implement green loans. We participate to events, scientific committees for climate change adaptation and inclusion, environmental responsibility in lending. We have been doing more than 40 presentations and 10 trainings, e-learning, and a publication. Our objective, is to discuss the challenge that we're seeing nowadays to promote the green transition within the inclusive finance sector, enhance the knowledge, enhance the collaboration within the multi-stakeholder, find a common standard and methodology and agree on how to spur further this sector, and publicize and disseminate the findings. As of now, we are undergoing quite intense work, among which one I stated that we are working with SPTF to develop the Dimension 7. Some of you, thanks a lot, has contributed already. Yeah, so that's basically in 2021, the environmental protection will be one of the dimension among the universal standard for social performance. So it will be totally integrated, no more an optional module in the SPA4. So it will be part of the full social performance of a financial institution. These we are playing a key role there together with the SPTF. We are working on that. We are developing the new version of the Green Industry 3.0. That thanks a lot for your support. We are including also expert aspect very relevant of what Philippe is gonna speak about. So the topic about vulnerability, vulnerability to climate change, that was a part was missing in the previous version. So not only do not harm the environment, but also how to include and protect the client against their vulnerability to biodiversity loss, to reduction in production, to climate change. Yeah, we are promoting an online library, and right as of now, we're including basically all text being literature, being academic literature, being sectorial studies on green inclusive finance, and just focus will be on green inclusive finance with an easy way to find the relevant material. So if you have material there, please send to us. We will be happy to include. We are working now on the project maps since a while, so to really have a vision of the world, who has done what and with which result that everyone could have access to. Yeah, so really to share learning really on practice, where we want to put in the focus the one that implement this project, so the microfinance institution. And of course, we are preparing finally a first extensive publication on the state of the art, building on more than 1,000 environmental assessments done in the last 10 years, to say where do we stand, how the sector evolved, and now in 2021, aligning with the, with the green transition, how we can support it further. Yeah. We work together to have improvement on the benchmark, on the monitoring. And as you see, we are here now on the webinar series. So we are launching this webinar series. I will say 2 words before giving the word to Philippe, together with an ongoing training. So this will be our 2 elements, ongoing trainings for capacity building. So we'll be happy to provide both to MFI, investor, and any other kind of actors training on how to assess the environmental performance and how to improve it, how to work on better, tactics to improve environmental performance. And on the other side, this webinar series, that is more the idea to share what is happening already there. We perceive that there was a bit of lack of communication on this topic. So we want to engage each actor that is working on this field, that has planned to work on this field. So some of you will have much more to say. Someone has more the intention and preparation work, to share with us, to really have an hub of knowledge and knowing what is happening. So the same webinar series is about webinar on topics related to green inclusive finance. We only focus to that. By green inclusive finance is quite broad, by the way. So it could be about environmental responsibility, protection against climate change, clean energy lending, waste recycling, assessment, some studies. So everything just look forward to promote the green dimension within the inclusive finance sector. So from micro household to small and medium enterprise, if we want. We have a brief presentation, on practitioner and academics. In this case, we have Philippe, practitioner, and of course, the opportunity to discuss and network. All the material, the video, as well as the PPT will be available online. We are restructuring our website as the action groups. We will have a much more interactive website in January 2021, where you will find also all the video, all the material, as well as access to the library, etc. If someone of you is interested to speak, please contact Natalia, myself, or Joanna from the MFP. We have 2 possible options. One that is the one of today, so 45 minutes, and the other one that is a short option. So if one has something very quick to share, some quick lesson learned, we also have the option of 15 minutes webinar. We target the webinar every 2 weeks. If we will have a lot of demand as we are having, we can reach till 1 per week. Next webinar after the Christmas break will be 21st of January. We have the impact on green microfinance. Yeah, we will probably have something earlier. I think we forgot to put the one before this one, but this will be one of the topics we will discuss. So how the COVID has impacted the green microfinance agenda. Voilà. Without saying too much, I said already quite a lot. People that knows me have this topic to speak quite a lot. Philippe does not know me, but he knows. So, voilà. So I leave the floor, and we are extremely pleased to have the Grameen Credit Agricole Foundation, and represented by Philippe, to speak about microfinance and climate change. They will share with us an assessment they have done on their partner institution to understand what is the demands and needs. So what is very interesting here is it's really coming from MFI, what is the demand and need of MFI, and their potential engagement, in product, services, and risk management to support climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. Philippe, I leave you the floor.
Yes, thank you, Davide, thank you, Natalia, and of course, this working group to give us the opportunity to share this information. You already took 15 minutes, Davide, so I will try to be concise as well, and in order to give the opportunity to all of us to exchange together, because I think it's the main objective of this type of webinar. Just two slides very rapidly to let you know, for the people who do not know, the foundation, we're set up in 2008, so 12 years ago, with the objectives to support microfinance institution and business social enterprises in the fight against poverty, but also for financial inclusion. Basically, what we do, we do invest as funders in debt and guarantee to microfinance institutions. We can invest also as equity partners in some of our social enterprises, in which we just become always minority shareholders. We do coordinate technical assistance programs that are funded by external funders like the French Development Agency, like the Swedish International Development Agency, EIB, or the Ministry of Luxembourg, or the Swiss Cooperation. Right now, we are managing we are coordinating 6 technical assistance programs, and I will mention one in our subject. And we also do, we are doing some advisor for investment funds. So we are right now the advisor for one investment fund that gathers different funds from the group Crédit Agricole. We were supported, as our name is, by the bank, which is the Crédit Agricole, which is one of the largest French bank and even European bank, and the Grameen Trust that I guess I don't have to present here in this webinar. Currently, our focus geographically is really Africa. More than 40% of our investment are in Africa. We are managing more or less a portfolio of $100 million in 40 countries. We are working with 75 microfinance institutions and 12 social enterprises. One of the particularities that we would rather look at and invest in medium-sized institution, tier 2 or tier 3. Meaning still managing a portfolio of less than $100 million. And the culture of the foundation, the roots is really both on one side, the Grameen Trust. So we do have a strong focus on women and for micro loans for micro enterprises. And of course, the Crédit Agricole, the name is quite clear, is that we do have also a strong focus on rural areas and supporting smallholder farmers. So that's why the beneficiaries that we are reaching all together, as you see the figures here, 80%, 88% are women, and 84% are living in rural areas. And you have the map where we are. So why are we interested with by the subject? Of course, we are not the only one, unfortunately, but it's clear that for the foundation, we believe that we cannot really escape from the consequences of the climate changes, and that will definitely have directly impact on not only at our level, at the level of our partners, but also, of course, at the level of the clients. And the strategy is really to figure out how we could help and support them to face this new reality, and how to be able to do it the best ways for both parties. So we set up our current strategic plan 2019-2022. The specific section dedicated to the issue of environmental problems. So here you just have the extract of our Act number 3 that is clearly showing that we really want to look at what is the environmental performance that of our partners and ourselves, who will see. And we need to have a better understanding on how we could provide this type of services, how we could support our partners in that aspect. And here is really a focus on the performance, on the capacity we have to find the right indicators and to find the right information, because without clear information, of course, you cannot take the right decision. And it's clear that our strategy is really to, one pillar of a strategy is to strengthen the resilience of rural economies. And of course, if you talk about rural economies, I mean, the issues of climate change is really right on the agenda. I have to confess, with the COVID, I mean, of course, I mean, I think that our strategic plan should be a little bit amended, but anyway, it still will remain a strong pillar of our intervention. So we started from the beginning to measure the performance. I mean, I would say the social performance of our partners. I joined the foundations 10 years ago. I mean, I'm now the head of our inclusive development, financial inclusive department. And I remember at that time we were using the SPI 2. Now, when I started at the foundation, so it looks like a almost dinosaur, but things have fortunately changed. And now we are, of course, using the SPI 4. We mainly, so all our investments are rated through this this tool, but we are using mainly the aligners, meaning to say the version which is for investors, which has a little bit less of questions. We do have some of our partners that are full SPI, but I mean, if they don't have it, we will just concentrate on this one. Of course, it does include the green index there, and but again, I want to be clear that right now, most of our partners we are using the green index that is coming from the ILAN's versions. You have here the graph of the benchmark. What is quite interesting is to see that, I mean, the green index remained the dimension with the lowest score. It's true for all the institutions that have been rated so far by through surveys and with other partners. So I think it's first tell you something, and we quite pleased to see that. I mean, because it was, of course, maybe because it was an optional, and that because also there was not, and we see that the partners still have a long way to go. We had a benchmark over 2017 and 2018, and our benchmark was lower than the global one, which was not the case for all our other partners. I mean, all the other dimensions, we were always above the benchmark that was provided to us by surveys. I would say, fortunately, in 2019, and that's the graph you have here, you see that our benchmark is a little bit better. It's not very substantially better than the benchmark, but it's better. So it's of course we're a little bit happy and proud for that. But what we see also between the benchmark and we have done between 2017 and 2019 is that for all other dimensions there has been a regular improvement of the benchmark, except for the green index. If you look at below, I made a specific focus on the result we have on the green index. You see that there is a difference between the year 2017 and 2019, because you see that we had a lower result because it was at 32 and now we are at 20 something. I don't see it because of the pictures, but anyway. And what we see is, I mean, the main reason is that because 26, the main reason is because between 2018 and 2019, it's not exactly the same MFIs that have been rated. I mean, they are the same plus new one. And we introduced quite a lot of new partners, and mainly they were coming from Africa and smaller also MFIs. And so they have basically a rating which is 5% below the other one. So it explains why, in fact, we have this in the figures of the green index, we have a difference in that sense. The first thing we started to do was to do a first study that was conducted with figures from, in fact, 2016, because we wanted to better understand what was the approach and the position of our partners related to the issue of climate change and green microfinance. So we requested, at that time we worked with Yapu and Davide to do this study. Here you have the main results that came up, taking into account that we have a specific program that is supported by the French Development Agency, the AFD, which is called the African Facility, where we support smaller, medium-sized MFIs in Africa. And thanks to the support of AFD, we are really providing some technical assistance missions, some consulting missions, and so on. And we wanted to compare, to look at what was, if there was any difference between our global portfolio and between the specific partners we had in this specific program. And so in blue, it's the partners from the African Facility. In brown, it's rather our global portfolio. Taking into account that we don't have a lot of tier 1 MFIs. As I said, we still work with a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 MFIs. What was interesting with this first survey, so the first survey was presented at the African Microfinance Week in Addis Ababa, and we took the opportunity of this gathering to train our partners from the African Facility on all the issues related to climate change and green microfinance. And what was interesting is to find out first, it was to say that 58% of our partners for the African Facility they declared that they have at least one loan, one green initiative. And if you look at, to try to better understand a little bit what type of initiative they had, we can see that, I mean, the majority of them were, and it's true for both type of organization, were on renewable energy, RE, or energy efficiency. That's where they had either some specific product, or they were trying to do something for their client. They had a little bit, around 29–30% had something on eco, is for to support sustainable agriculture, but there was almost nothing on waste management. And then if you look at what other type of action we're doing, and if there were some differences, it was quite interesting to figure out that in terms of awareness and in terms of policy advocacy, it was not our partners from the African Facility that were doing things. It was rather our global other partners that were quite involved in this. But in terms of the measurement of the footprint, I mean, it was a little bit equal. And then we wanted to better understand what type of request or needed they had. And here again, you see that if you look at the graph below, you will see that they were still looking for funds, dedicated fund to support their activities in climate change type of product development, green microfinance. But also what was very, very strongly needed and more for the partners from the African Facility was expertise, better understanding what are the different issues, being able to support, and you see the technicality as well, which is there. Surprisingly, it seemed that if you look at the last bar, you see that there was no issue of demand for our partners from the African Facility. I think that they believe the demand is there from their clients, that the clients are expecting to be able to receive some dedicated product for that, which was not the case on the other side. So based on this, we decided the year after to do another more in-depth study to better understand exactly what was done. And in fact, we decided to look at what was the main, if there was some differentiation between some of our partners that were already involved in the subject and already providing this type of support, and our partner that were not doing it. And here you have the main outcome from 2 or 3 studies. Maybe I guess that some of you already have known them or read them, and I think that David is mentioned in at least for one of them, and so on, in which you see that it seemed that larger MFIs have a better environmental performance, which is also for older organizations, for banks, and that in Asia, I mean, they have better environmental performance. So we tried to look at this more deeply for our own portfolio, and we find out that it was the case as well. So here you have the results of our green index based on our portfolio, and if you look at the results, you see very clearly that tier 1 MFIs have a much better scoring, which is the double compared to even more than that compared to tier 2 and tier 3, and that MFIs in the EC, East and Central Asia and Southeast Asia have a better scoring compared to the other one in either Africa or in the MENA region. So here, clearly you can start to see that depending on the size and depending on the place where the institution is located, you have different, you might have different results. So the first thing we said, as I mentioned to you, we had specific questions dedicated to what we call the experimented partners in green microfinance, and with the green index that had a green index score that will be above 25%. We had 14 partners, but only 9 answers. So of course, 9 is not a big number, but still it means few points. If you look at the first question that we asked them, is that how they do consider environmental risk in the lending process. I mean, there was a large majority that they said yes. And among them, if you look at what they do for that, I mean, is that they do have exclusion lists for certain activities that could be harmful for the environment. And that was 100% of this 89%. But what is also interesting is to see that only 1/4 of them would try or would start to classify their loan application according to their level of environmental risk, meaning to say that they have they have this exclusion list, which is fine, but how far then they use it and how far they will classify later on their application based on the environmental risk, then you just have 1/4 of the institutions. Then again, we were quite interesting to understand how they will assess the level of environmental risk that is faced by their clients and by their operation, and how based on this they will be able to make the right analysis. So you see that it's almost half. I mean, it's a little bit more than 50% because it's 56%, but it's not the vast majority. And what we realized that a lot of loan officers were not really aware always about how to assess what type of methodology to be used to assess the environmental risk of the client. And there was not always very clear to them on how to use the data and so on. What we see is that they were trying to put some emphasis on how to train the loan officers on this, because it represents 80% of this 50%, and 60% would use very specific tools to assess their environmental risk of their client activities. And here, I don't think you can see it very well, but here you have the example of partners that share with us the grill that he's using to see, according to the different activities they might support, what could be or not the environmental impact of such activities. And so if they will have to finance it, how it's going to be done. We wanted also to figure out if they had a very clear formalized environmental strategy, something that would have been not only approved at the level of the management, but at the level of the board, and that will be really helpful for them to set up a clear strategy. We find that was around 67%, but we have to be quite careful on this because we realize that quite a lot of people don't have a formal environmental strategy. It doesn't mean that they don't do anything. I mean, in fact, the majority will not have this type of formalized strategy, but they will still do something at the end. And what they will do mainly is that they will have one person within the staff that is in charge more precisely on implementing this type of environmental strategy. And then they will define KPIs. But if you look at the percentage, you see it's pretty low, only 1/3. So we find out that, in fact, they usually lack reporting tools. They lack clear KPIs to follow. And so, of course, then if they want to assess their strategy, I mean, they might not have all the necessary documentation and implementation. Of course, we wanted to figure out what type of activities they will do in this strategy, what type of product, financial and non-financial services that they will do. Again, 67%. The main product they will do is on clean energy loans, which, if you refer, to the first survey we had, where we saw that they were doing quite a lot of energy efficiency and renewable energy. And it's followed by also loans for sustainable housing. But if you look a little bit deeper into the sustainable housing, it was mainly in Eastern and Central Asia. It's not something that we have noticed a lot, for example, in Africa. Then they will do some training, provide some training courses or awareness campaign. And not that many in terms of green agricultural loans, even though we saw that it could have been, it could be definitely quite relevant to them. But what we also realized through this is that these products are not always very well managed by the MFI, and especially when it comes to monitoring the use of these loans, meaning to say that, I mean, the way the loan were really used. I mean, was it really for that purpose, or was it rather an opportunity to get access to the loan, but then use it differently? I mean, we were lacking some information. And then we wanted also to figure out if they were, if they understood, I mean, the importance to raise awareness among their clients and so on. And here again, the result is pretty mixed, because you have more or less 56% that will do it, but usually, I mean, we saw that they didn't do that much in terms of education, clients awareness. It's true that it means that you have to do it through non-financial services, and that, of course, usually it's a little bit more costly. If you don't have specific funding, it might be an issue. Here, I just put it for your information. I mean, because we did, of course, quite a lot of research. Maybe some of the people might have already read it, but there was some other product-related practice that have been observed by Asif Dolo in the paper that he wrote on climate change and microfinance. Maybe what is quite interesting here to underline is that, which was not our case. I mean, we don't have at least some partners that are provide what they called climate-proof loan, meaning to say that this loan could be quite flexible in order to face extreme weather events. It seemed that more happen in countries like the Bangladesh or the Philippines, or even in India, where they have lots of climate change, floods, and so on, and where you see the product is adapted to respond to this situation. Or you also have some conditional loans where, of course, if the client is providing a specific activity that will go towards climate change mitigations, I mean, they will have better conditions for the loan. You mentioned saving, educations, remittances also as opportunity to try to mitigate the risk related to climate change, and of course, insurance product that, of course, can protect. The foundation, we did quite a lot of work on agri microinsurance product with to be very transparent, very mixed result. I think we find it pretty difficult. Anyway, we just got funding right now with ProParco, where we're going to support with ILO, the International Labour Agency, specific macro-insurance products from our partners. But also there was all these systematic measures that are necessary, like information sharing with the dissemination information. And we see quite a lot of interesting activities coming up where you help farmers to have a better understanding on what will be the weather like and work on the forecast and how to help them to mitigate the risk in front of these issues just by getting the information on time and being able to take the right decision. But again, we find out that, I mean, he found, and we just can confirm through our partners, that, I mean, one of the main issues remain within the institution themselves, the capacity they have to understand the challenge, to train their staff, and to do the advocacy work. Then we had a second part of our study that was really for what we call the novice people. I mean, people that have a green index which is below 25%. Here we have 38 partners that answers. We still see that they still do something because, as I said, 61% have initiatives, and the main initiative is quite similar to the other group because, for example, 78% do have exclusion lists of activities that could be harmful for the environment, followed by financial product services or internal policy. Very few, limited percentage have recruited staff for that or have a formal environmental strategy, which is of course quite logical, taking into account that it's not their main focus. We try to understand why. I mean, why they were not doing more, or what was the main problem they would face to do to increase their support in these sectors. And clearly, again, I mean, the lack of expertise is one of the main answers. 74% say they don't have the know-how, the knowledge to do it, and that it's a key issue, and the lack of financial resources to dedicate it to this specific product. And then it's followed by what we have already mentioned, the problem of KPIs, having the right information for that. But what is quite good is that only 4% has no interest in these issues, which is quite encouraging to work on that. And now here we have the global pictures from all the answers, where we wanted to figure out what was their how they feel, what was their responsibility. I mean, do they have a different responsibility compared to other actors in this climate change response? And here you see that at least 47% believe that they have a special role to play as sustainable funders, which is quite, of course, quite promising. And of course, the question was also to better understand, do you think that you have specific demand from your clients? I mean, because of course, if there is no demand, maybe there is nothing to be done. And no, for at least 61%, they say yes, they have it. It's only 17% that say they don't have any specific demand on this topic. And of course, we wanted to figure out what was the type of support that they will need some help, and how the foundation could support. So without any surprise, you see that first, training of the staff. I mean, it's clear that the lack of expertise and really understanding about all the challenge behind this is an issue. And then equally, it's customer training. I mean, at the client level, creation of new products, or even new tools, and especially in data assessment. And we see that the main support they were requesting is on technical assistance for 91%, and of course on financing. So based on this, and I will try to finish soon. I mean, what we have been doing right now, I mean, we've been supporting currently 5 partners to help them to develop their environmental strategy. And we made also, we do have at least 4 to 5 more requests in the pipeline. Again, it's the same issues, is really help them to develop their strategy, to understand what are the key issues, and to see what type of proposal they can do. So we came up with quite interesting result I could share later on. And of course, at the level of the foundation itself, we came up with our first impact social and environmental impact report, and in which we have a dedicated session on this, on our environmental performance. I will not go deep into it on what type of indicators we put aside. I see the time is moving on. We are launching a study with the University of Grenoble to better understand the link between the MFI financial performance and social and with the environment performance. So we hope to be able to share this with you, this data next year. I mean, of course, we were expecting to be able to share data this year, but I mean, due to the COVID crisis, we had to, of course, it would take a little bit more time. Right now at the foundation, we have a dedicated working group on these issues with a very clear action plan. Here you have few of the action plan we have defined. You see there is, of course, getting a good knowledge about our partners' environmental practices. We have included now clear KPIs in our process, so that in what we call our impact pathway, we do have environmental indicators that we're going to follow on a very regular basis. We are starting to include more precisely environmental criteria in our investment proposal. In our country analysis, we have a specific information on where we share what are the risks that are based in this in the specific countries. We started to measure the foundation carbon footprint for now it's going to be the third 30. Then of course we hope to be able to years after years to improve it. I would say this year it will not be too difficult because we didn't travel. I mean, of course, one of our main carbon footprint has been on traveling, and so this year it will be much better. And we do compensate this through a program that is managed, I mean, in which the Group Credit Agricole is involved, which is the livelihood funds, where we can do some carbon compensation, and we do it through them. The next step on this one, where we want to include more environmental targets in our risk strategy. We also think to how to include social and green performance bonus in the pricing we could offer to our partners. I mean, we have not done it yet, but that's something we could do. We're going now to, I forgot to mention, to include the full green index to our studies, not only the aligners. We're going to do it systematically, the full one, even if on the social part it will not be necessarily the full. Of course, we want to expand our technical assistance offer to our partners, keep raising awareness to the MFIs. I forgot to mention that we organized a training session on the subject at the African Microfinance Week in Ouagadougou. I think that Natalia remember well, because we did it together, and she was always an excellent trainer. So it was a real pleasure to do it with her. And we definitely want to keep cooperate with our different partners, and we have quite a lot of links with YAPU, but maybe not only to develop climate smart finance. As a conclusion, I would say that we see that our partners are really conscious about the need to work on this, but they are definitely more advanced in implementing action to reduce their own environmental footprint, rather than really doing more for maybe for their client. They are just beginning to foster green opportunity for their clients. And of course, as you have seen it varies according to the continent, to the size of the clients. And again, what I said, tier one are better, and we have quite interesting actions taken by our partners in Central Asia and European and in South Asia compared to other regions. We believe we need to be more ambitious because clearly there's lots of things that still are ahead of us, and so we need to have a strong involvement at the whole level. We need to fine-tune our analysis tool, and we are extremely happy to see that we're going to work shortly on a Green Index 3. And of course, we will keep contributing as much as we can on this. And we believe that it's not only for the partners, but it's also for us. I mean, that's this field is really an opportunity for new partnership and to tie up links between different type of stakeholders. I tried to be fast. Thanks a lot. And of course, I'm ready to answer any of your questions, if any.
So thanks a lot, Philippe. I mean, that was, I think, a great explanation of what you've seen since the last 3-4 years. I mean, it's interesting also to see how it evolves on two kind of assessment you've done, how that is consistent with the benchmark that you've seen in the sector, how your, your awareness and your understanding of the main challenge, and how that's, keep on repeating as consistent in various studies, as well as you see the demand for clean energy loans, like in Africa, is one of the highest demand for, for green products compared to other regions. That's a bit different. So I think we are a bit going forward with the time. So maybe if someone has question to ask, I would privilege that the audience ask question rather than me asking question. Of course, if you have none or you're shy, I can start. That clearly is a nice strategy as well. But if someone want to speak, I think it's good that we take first question from the audience to Philippe.
Yeah, so we have here 5 questions. Davide and Philippe, do you see them?
Yeah, so maybe let me
start with Nicolas Payen, and then
maybe
then go to Zakir Hussain.
Yeah, maybe let me interpret. So I read that, or we can give the floor to speak. I just read them, right?
Let us know, Camille, if we can open microphones or if we should read out loud.
Okay. In the meantime, maybe I read them and phrase those. So one topic, both from Nicolas Payen, but I think that is coming 2 times. I think it's key, and also is related to one question I want to do. So maybe I merge both. You see, there was demand for green loans, typically for clean energy, and the question is which kind of clean energy are the most interesting one. That's together with the question of what are the MFI that see higher demand for green financial products. So specificity on what you see as a clean energy interesting, and which kind of MFI see most.
Yeah, we see quite a lot of requests. Quite a lot of product that is potentially sold by our partners is on solar energy, or I don't have the coven cook. How do you call this? Cook stuff.
Efficient cook stuffs.
Yes, efficient cook stuff. I'm sorry, just like, and but here, here they mainly, they face, quite a lot of the time the product comes from China, and there's really an issues here in terms of, I would say, the complete value chain. They need to be sure that the product is there, of course, but that they have the capacity to repair if there is a problem, that they have the capacity to provide the equipment, and that they tied up with a company that's doing well. We had quite a few examples where it took them quite a lot of time to stabilize this I would say this completely value chain process, in which they can provide the loan, but if at the end the provider is not good, or the equipment that they can pay for it is not good, or is getting broken pretty fast and so on, then they do face quite a lot of issues. So here, and that's why sometimes they really need the expertise also to be able to assess. There is a lot of demand, or there is a lot of offers for different type for this type of product, but how do you assess that the product that will be chosen is well, and that the provider is a structure which is relevant and so on? It can be a strong issue. We saw this quite a lot in Asia, as I said, again, that they do it again. In Central Asia, what is quite interesting is that they do a lot of product on housing, especially because, during winter time, you see that a lot of people are living in houses that have clearly no, I mean, with either sometimes broken glasses and so on. So these are real issues of isolation. And at that level, I mean, it's clear that we had quite interesting product that have been developed in Tajikistan, for example, or in Kazakhstan, where they also help the people to have better energy savers investments in their housing. And it's quite interesting if we compare, I don't know, but at least for France, I mean, where we have this new program, I mean, from the French government that is really trying to also help the French people to better isolate their home and have better energy equipment at home and so on. So that's something that we see more in Eastern and Central Asia.
Thank you. So just Camille, we can give the microphone, or I keep on reading the questions. What do you?
You can tell me the people you want to give the floor to. And
super.
Unmute them.
Okay, so we have question here in order from. So let me go in order maybe. So we have from Zakir Hossain, that was one of the first one posted the question about Bangladesh. So maybe we can open the floor for this question.
We have no in microfinance. We are not working in Bangladesh, even though I mean the Grameen Trust, they are members of the board of the foundation. We do have only one investment in social enterprises. It's clear that I mean if there are opportunities, but if you know, we always link our technical assistance support to the investment we do. And so right now, I know that in Bangladesh, we do have issues which are more related to the capacity to do it because of financial issues, exchange rate issues, and so on. So that's why so far we have not been able to do anything there. But if things are possible, clearly we could be ready to do something there, of course. But I guess that the group Grameen by itself, I mean, they are doing already few things there.
Okay, so then of course we have a question about the co-financing. Yeah, if so Julia Rabadan is asking us if you always ask co-financing from your partner for technical assistance, and what is a reasonable percentage to engage in getting technical assistance. You know, it's a topic, you know, you want to build capacity, of course, and you want that the MFI, pay part of that because show engagement. But what is from your experience a good sharing or an interesting part?
Yeah, I think first of all, I just want to repeat what you said, David. I think it's co-financing is essential, because I think that once you pay for a service, I mean, you feel more responsible, you feel more engaged for it, and so on. So I think that at that level, there is no doubt that you should have it. We usually request a minimum of 10%, which personally I think that is it's sometimes too low. So usually it's the 10% minimum. But if they can do more, but again, it will depend, I guess. You have to adapt it to the size of the project. You have to adapt to the size of the company. You have to be sure that the company, the MFI, has the capacity to put more. We have no problem to be, I mean, we don't want to be the exclusive supporter. I mean, so there is no problem. We have remember, we have a very interesting program on agri-financing and sustainable agriculture financing in Zambia. And we were 2-3 partners supporting this, the MFI. So we were providing 20%, 30%. Another one was providing another part, and so on. And the MFI was providing part of it. So again, it was not here to say we are exclusively the one to provide the services. But I think, again, it's hard to answer, because I think that co-financing is essential. That's clear. But then, of course, you have to be sure that the MFI is in front of you has the capacity. And if you request 50%, and if it takes her 2 years to raise the remaining 50%, it's no sense. So I think it's important to again, it's a one by one. We do it rather on a case-to-case basis, I would say.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. And maybe sharing also some experience from here. the co-finance, as I said, is a bit la dolorosa, no? You need to pay to get something, but if you don't pay, you don't value. And also from our experience, both from the members, other members of the action group, or from personal experience from Yapu Solutions, you see is very different. Yeah, you can really go from, we really need a lot of grant, and when instead till certain institution or certain topic where the institution can basically pay fully by themselves. Yeah. So in our experience, we have covering between 10 to 30 to 60, up to 65% of technical assistance. This someone that can cover the full amount just by themselves for internal funding. That depends on size, on topic, how is included in the core banking, sorry, in the core business model. If you're touching, for example, risk management, there's a core, for example, protecting against climate change. That's core for, for risk management, for agricultural lending. Yeah, there is a higher appetite to put money. If you speak about digital integration of this risk within the loan process, of course, there is a higher appetite because it's part of what the institution in any case is doing. And with this topic, I want to go with the question from Rachel, of course, that was asking from the World Bank, is asking, okay, we see that we in Africa, we know there is quite important item about food security, about climate change impact on food security, about on production in agriculture, yeah, and there is a lot of agri-production, of course. So question is, why do we see that the engagement in greening agricultural sector lower than the engagement in say clean energy? Yeah. So why there is this low part? So from your view.
Simple reason, it's riskier. It's riskier because, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, as I said, we've been quite involved in trying to promote agri microinsurance, but we know that supporting agri financing, and especially if you want to go for sustainable agriculture and so on, I mean, it's riskier. And but here, what I want to mention is that, I don't know if you know, but the foundation, we have been doing a research. We do a research on the impact of the COVID crisis on our partners. We have published now more than 10 articles, so we've started to do it on a very regular basis. And one of the key elements, which came out as a surprise and at hope for us, is that it seemed that more and more partners, I mean, they mentioned that, and we do the study not only with our partners, but we added up partners from Impulse and from ADA. And in all the continents, what you can see is that people, because of the crisis, or thanks to the crisis, I would say, not only they think that this should strengthen their digital process, which is of course quite logical, but also spend more time and finance more agricultural business, because it's true that most of the agribusiness have been pretty resilient during the crisis. We even saw some countries where the agriculture has been able to further develop because borders were closed. So they really need to produce by themselves. There were more staff coming in that came back and that were working in the field and so on. So we see some increase in food production. So I think that it was a kind of awareness sign for the MFIs to say that, yes, maybe, I mean, that's a sector to work on more precisely. But it's riskier. I mean, climate change, if you have a flood, if it's a dry season and so on, I mean, the harvest might not be there. And of course, the farmers will have more difficulties to pay you back. And that's where I think that working with them on mitigating this one, for example, working with agri microinsurance, and that's really something we want to develop with the program we have with Poparco, and providing, I mean, tools. And I know that Yapu has been developing on tools on how to help the farmers to better understand, to get the right data on the production, but also on the market. So on the whole value chain, it's quite encouraging. And the foundation has been somehow is very pleased also because we've been selected by this program, the SNOOP that is managed by ADA for smallholders farmers, and it should really give us opportunities to strengthen the financing of our partners on this aspect. But again, I think it's a sector which is difficult, and we know that if we look at the investment that we do in this one, I mean, it's clearly riskier compared to investing in MFIs and so on.
Yeah, so I think I really like we had an event in the European Microfinance Week about matching demand for green finance and the supply, yeah, from MFIs that are already implementing some green initiatives in various domains, being clean energy, being climate smart agriculture, and founders that are looking to finance such initiatives. And I just want maybe to report a sentence that I really like from Pedro Marchetti from Desarrollo Local. I think it's nice, it really resonates what you say, Philippe, that say green is more resilient. So I was saying, you know, maybe some people know from the Desarrollo Local is focused in agriculture, and they say, look, was very difficult at the time of COVID, but everything we've been doing, supporting agricultural production, including technical assistance, and trying to improve the practices of smallholder by, you know, having sustainable practices being revealed with lower portfolio at risk.
Yeah.
So keep on saying, yeah, everyone says more risk, etc., etc. It's true in general, but you see the resiliency, yeah, against other kind of product that instead are, yeah, profitable at the short term, but again, shocks could be less resilient. I want maybe to phrase, so Claude Torre from l'Agence Française de Développement is asking about, let's say, the other side of the medals from agriculture. Yeah, so of course, many times we believe that agriculture is the main topic to adapt to climate change, and it's clearly correct. But then we think about, okay, now it's clean energy that is our volet d'attack. So we attack from offsetting greenhouse gas emission. But many of us knows the land conversion and agriculture is one of the most, the sector that emit most greenhouse gases. So question is, do we have any metrics that we can use, tools or experience or KPI to understand what you are looking, maybe also if you don't see that in the market, but what you are looking to understand while financing agriculture, if you're also offsetting greenhouse gases. And as you said, as the Green Foundation, you have the target to reduce emission. So do you see any support also for small institutions, yeah, on, or to measure that and eventually try to find tactics in agricultural lending to reduce this emission?
Well, we don't have yet. I mean, we just. I think that the question is very relevant, because I think that we all clearly are looking for clear KPIs and indicators to help us to make the right analysis, to be able also to support and to help the farmers. I think that that's something that needs to be clearly strengthened, and that's where I think that typically, I mean, the type of working group like the one from e-MFP could help to share experiences with what is already existing in other places, what is working, what doesn't work, because I think we learn a lot from what doesn't work and the problems other people are facing. I mean, I was telling you that we work on agricultural micro insurance. It was not a success, but we learn a lot. So I think it's clear that at that level, I mean, it's through this type of event of experiencing things that we could share what we done. We do have few one, but I mean, not enough to take it as an element of analysis, and it's really part of our. I told you that we have a specific dedicated working groups within the foundation, and that's really one of the topic we want to do it, because as I mentioned to you, I mean, for example, we hope that one day we will have also the capacity to provide, for example, better rate to our partners, because they will have a better environmental strategy and approach and so on, and because we will have had the right KPIs to measure this and to be able to do it. And if we have this, it also means that clearly, I mean, they should have it at the level of their clients. And in our survey, it was clear that what was missing for some of our partners, it was to have the tools to be able to measure properly, yes, all these issues with their clients, and how they will evaluate the risk based on this, which indicators they should use for that. So it's kind of a next step for sure.
Philippe, and if I may add, also coming back to the study that you conducted with ADA and Impulse, it was interesting to see in the first round that when it was the critical point of the pandemic, that the institutions were saying that they want to innovate in green microfinance, that the next step or the next innovations that they would like to go forward is developing green loans. So these experiences and sharings maybe or not.
No, clearly, and we just launched a new survey, and we hope to be able to get the article in January. And I mean, we just try to better understand this position, because of course you have to understand. I mean, okay, now that's what they think. Concretely, in the reality, what will happen? I mean, so that's I don't have the answer yet.
Yeah, we'll see here more questions from the audience, what they are saying on the demand for green loans. You can go with the next question.
Yeah, we still question here ongoing. People are so interested that we want to keep on.
We have lots of questions.
That's good. So there are questions about technology provider for green solutions. Maybe to be sure we understand correctly, the question is about if we know about relevant technology provider for green solution. Typically, normally this is a main topic, right? As you mentioned about the Chinese topic, of course, the quality. Have you, in your experience, looking with your partner, for example, found locally? Because question, of course, typically is locally, because internationally you can, I will not say extremely easily, but you can easily spot, okay, these are this quality, etc., etc. But locally, have you find any of your institution that said, okay, this local provider has been worked well, and maybe has some documentation to prove, or at least you have historical to prove that's the one that's been working with this provider has been performed well? Really to see locally, as any lesson learned from your MFIs, maybe from some specific countries that are more advanced than other?
I might not be the best person to answer this, because I don't have necessarily all the direct relationship with the partners. I can maybe share the experience I had when I was members of the board of MFIs in Cambodia, and that we started to launch this type of product. It took us 1 year to find out what was a good provider. And then of course it was related on the capacity to operate properly, to provide the services with the quality, the good interpersonal relationship, and the capacity that the provider has to be there on time, to repair when it was necessary, and so on. We're supporting also a program in Ivory Coast. It's a specific program on access to energy as well. It seems that the company that I've been working with is doing well. I can't remember, because as I said, I was not there at the beginning, but I can't remember how long it took them at the end to come up with the right person. I think that's what I said. I think you have to be prudent. It's a kind of trial process. It depends a lot on the countries. There is a lot of products, of course, available. There is a lot of options. It's always hard to be sure that you bet on the right hand. I don't have any, I would say, clear example that show that. At least at the end, what we find out that they will usually find the solution. The solution is still there, but it might take time. And then, of course, if it takes time, it costs money. And then, of course, if you have people, your client might be dissatisfied, and you have to manage this. So you have to take this into account in the way you do it, for sure.
So now I take, first of all, there's a question from Claude Torre again now on the climate change adaptation. Maybe I take it quickly on the KPIs on the climate change adaptation. So basically, it was asking about if there are KPIs for greenhouse emission offsetting in agricultural lending, and now if you have any KPI to see how the agricultural lending can be more adapted to climate change. Yeah. Here, I think we have some experience also with the foundation, from the MIBA project. Maybe some of you knows. So the Microfinance for Ecosystem-Based Adaptation project is a project that's been lasting for 8 years now. So it's quite large, and is about
Okay, I can continue.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this in Germany since yesterday.
Sorry, guys, we are in lockdown.
Yeah. Since yesterday we have pizzas and
moment of emergency family. So that's what happened. This is a demonstration of COVID situation. So we are home working and we have children around this close the school. So yeah, that's what happened. So I was saying that the Microfinance for Ecosystem-Based Adaptation is the project that's been around for like 8 years. And the main topic was how to adapt to climate change by using ecosystem. And there you can find, I will type then the website. You can find on the website quite some relevant material, among which a tool that is called Adaptive Capacity. Yeah, so it's an adaptive capacity tool. And you can basically out of that find KPI to see how adaptive is a client for climate change. Yeah, and then you have something similar also at the level of institution. So I will send you these two tools. With a question from Lucia from Microfinance Rating, and also another question I need to find out from Nicholas that are related about the loan size. I think it's an interesting topic. So on one side, Nicholas is saying, okay, what's the average loan size for for a clean energy microloan? And on the other side, Lucia is asking about, okay, do you also have not only microloans, but also SME loans in some of the FSPs you have been financing or some experience? Because appetite for green can depend also on size. While giving you the floor, I can share a couple of experience we have. Like small loans typically is quite a lot known in Africa for for things like Pico PV, like some $10-20 from something higher to 300, and then maybe, for example, if you go to Latin America, then I give you the floor for Africa. Typically, renewable energy go more on higher SMEs because it's like production of or energy rather than small supply, because Latin America is much more attached to the grid, for example. Yeah. To you. So question is, what is the average size? Yeah, for a loans current experience, or if you have in your FSPs any FSP that is not only financing micro or household, but maybe also some small or medium.
Yes, so we do have partners that are financing SME loans, and again, that was exactly what was said at the beginning. I mean, that's rather in that case tier 1 MFIs, and that would rather be in that case organization that will have better, I mean, global index performance. And I know that in some of them, but it's hard to track because we are not on working this, and that's something which should maybe suddenly deepen a little bit more. Is that I cannot share with you what is for example, exactly the type of. I know that in some cases they will have dedicated SME loan that will be used for a small company that are either even producing energy suppliers, equipment, and so on. I think about one example in Cambodia again that I know a little bit better, more on the operational size. Then again, in terms of what I was mentioning for the housing, for example, in East and Central Asia, I think that we are rather, again, as far as I remember, between $5 to $1,000, which of course will be much smaller if you go to Africa and if you go for small electricity, renewable energy, and so on. But again, I mean, I think it depends typically a lot on the country. So to give an average, I think we should go. I mean, we can try to go to all our portfolio and extract it and so on. But as a figure like this, I mean, first there is not, I guess, an average for all the MFIs, and then yeah, that's a kind of more operational answer that I can make. I mean, that's typically the work of microfinance. I mean, to go deeper into the analysis of of the institution with this type of average. We do have the information, I'm sure, if I'm digging up in our portfolio, but like this, I don't have it in mind. Sorry.
Let's see, it was probably quite a lot of overtime, so maybe we take, let's see if there's anything we have not answered. Yeah, from Guglielmo di Microfinanza SRL. Let's see. So it's about the result of technical assistance and capacity development for staff member are extremely relevant. Yeah, of course, we see the same. Do you believe that there are ways to overcome the time-bounded support that can be provided to MFI in this environment? And so are there examples, you know, because we see the same and say, building capacity is one of the topic, of course, you put, we don't do, MFI don't do this because they're lacking capacity or lacking funds, yeah. Nowadays, funds seems much easier to, you know, to channel because we are going in this direction. Now, how can we cope the rapidity of how finance can go in this direction with actual building expertise? Yeah, that someone can actually use this fund in a way that is profitable for the green transition. Yeah, so how is there any way to, you know, to leapfrog, so to make it shorter the time of getting capacity? In the experience we have, so how we build the capacity faster than the natural process. Do you see any maybe you don't see experience, but any suggestion, any idea? Because it clearly is a relevant project.
Yeah, I mean, yes, when I was listening to you, I was thinking about something we did, which is not related to green environmental issues and so on, but I think that could definitely be duplicated. Because of the COVID, we joined our actions and we coordinated a whole program of through webinars on training our partners. It was a joint action with FEFISOL, with CD, with the MEN, where we trained more than 50 actors in liquidity issues, and which was typically related to, of course, the COVID crisis. And it has been extremely successful. It was very well managed in the sense that we had webinars, but then we had individual coaching session for each MFIs and so on. And I think that typically it's a way to reach quite a lot of people at the same time, to have them express and exchange their ideas. And then if you follow it up with a kind of coaching, I think it really helped, and the results have been extremely positive. So I think that, for example, I mean, and maybe that could be one thing that the working group could do. I mean, is to organize this type of specific webinar sessions and coaching session to the MFIs, to their staff dedicated for that. That could help to go, because I think that nowadays, well, I still believe that interpersonal relationship is key, and that to have to speak just in front of this my computer without you, Davide or Natalia around me, I mean, it's extremely frustrating. But anyway, I mean, I think it can be still a way, and I think we're getting used to it. So I think that, and our partners are getting used to it. I mean, we start to do due diligence that way and so on. So I think this type of training at distance, where you have at the same time the capacity to gather a lot of people, so that you have very interactive courses and interactive activities, could be quite useful. And I'm pretty sure that, I mean, and Davide, you have met quite a few of our partners. You have helped them to develop our strategic plan for environmental issues and so on. And I'm sure they would be really ready to have their staff trained on this. And then, of course, if institution like us or other, I mean, can then do the kind of follow-up and monitoring to see how it's implementing, how the people and what type of problem they are facing and so on, I think would be quite useful.
Yeah, I think maybe also closing, because for the sake of time, yeah, it's true that I was not thinking about that what you suggest, but while you were speaking, but during the question, but it's true that, for example, now we are with the MEBA, we are implementing a training project and for biodiversity conservation. Yeah, so we have basically a project that is totally offline. Yeah, so because we cannot travel, and together with the United Nations for Environmental Program and the BNP Paribas, we are implementing as YAPU this project that is about assessing biodiversity risk and climate risk in the agricultural lending. Yeah, so I can send the link as well. And what is interesting that we have a very good answer. I mean, by the institution. I mean, we had 44 institutions that want to participate. We are included basically all of them, and we're giving training every week or every 2 weeks. And have been around between 80 and 100 participants. So, and they follow, they implement, they're using our platform to use. So yeah, somehow there is a sort of possible, let's see the result. We still don't have the outcomes. Yeah. So what is nice is that participation is high. I mean, I will believe much higher to what I would have expected, honestly. Yeah, because it seems, I mean, being 80 or 100 people following for 2-hour training using the platform and every week or 2 weeks. And then let's see what is the outcome. So it is really, that's help to improve faster capacity, because the transmission of capacity to our virtual media, that is still yeah, we still don't know enough, specifically for this kind of support. Yeah. So guys, I see some of us are leaving us, of course, because there is we need to go to eat and we are taking a lot of your time. I think we had quite an passionate discussion. I'm extremely sorry for the long time. So what you can trust us as an action group is that we will put all our energy and enthusiasm and expertise on that, but sometimes we don't keep track of the time. So you are so kind to give us your time for what you value. Thanks a lot for the question. And then so we are sorry for the one we did not answer. We will give a look to the chat if someone has not answered, and we try to come back with you on written form, us or Philippe, if I address to Philippe. And no maybe can you share the last slide of the presentation, so that for the contacts in case of
that want to join the action group, you will see our emails in the last slide, or we can share also in the chat, as we will continue doing this webinars every 2 weeks. We have our calendar already full until March, but if you want to also share your projects and results with the sector, don't hesitate to contact us.
Exactly. So both for the webinar, and if someone finds so interesting what we're discussing and you're still not part of the action group, yeah, just write us. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And again, maybe just answering a question that maybe many people will ask after, okay, I joined, but I have many other things to do. Yeah, the kind of engagement, it will depend on you. So you can decide you're just part, you will be informed, a webinar, etc. Maybe you want to really act, participate actively, as Philippe and the Grameen Agricole are doing, to developing, standard for environmental performance, etc. Is up to you. Yeah, and this engagement can change with time. Voila. So guys, thanks a lot for everything.
Thank you.
You will find the video and the material online, and we will follow up with an email if you don't find it online. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah, very nice.
Have a nice continuation.
Yes.
Thank you, Camille.
Thank you.
For the coordination and the logistics. And goodbye to everybody.
Yes.
Hi, Camille.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all.